key.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm so excited because obviously it's our weekly Zoom, and Emily is going to be talking about a topic that I feel as though is going to help a lot of us after chatting with quite a few of you about having systems and just like being organized with all the things. It seems like this topic was much needed. So that's why Emily and I kind of were brainstorming together, and we figured this would be a good one to kind of kick off September with, like the last quarter of the year. Make sure we're all organized, and even more awesome for anyone who's like a newer coach, you can get all this organization stuff like set in stone right in the beginning. So you'll just be like kicking it off strong, and you won't have to worry about it later on because you'll have everything all organized. So that's what I'm so excited about this topic, because even me, like I am not naturally that organized. Like, yes, I love planners and I like to have like a home for everything, but it takes a little extra work for me to actually like do that. It's just not in my zone of genius, I guess. But it is in Emily, so we're so lucky that she's going to be talking about this to us. Before we hop in real quick, obviously it's September, it's a fresh new month, so just make sure that you have like your goals written down for the month. Make sure you're writing them down every single day. You're reflecting on them and how you're going to feel when you actually accomplish those goals. I don't know if any of you guys have read the book, The Desire Map by Danielle Laporte, but that is such a good book. And it totally made me like just change my mindset of how I thought about goals, and making sure that I was setting goals that really did light me up. And I was reflecting on like why I wanted to make these goals happen. So like, for example, when I started my business, I knew that I always wanted to do it full time. I knew that I wanted to leave my full-time job so that I could be home and work from home and own my time and have complete freedom. And the reason I wanted that really was not just so I could be like, oh, I'm my own boss. Like, how cool is that? Although that is rad, but was because I wanted that feeling of being free. I wanted to feel like I could live each and every day as my own and how I wished. I wanted to travel. I wanted to just live my life fully, spend time with loved ones, and not have to ask permission from a boss. Like if I could hang out with family or friends, like that drove me nuts when I used to have a normal job, I guess, whatever. And I just knew like the feeling behind that was what was going to make me be happiest. So as humans, it's like we're always chasing that feeling. We want to do things because it'll make us happier. It'll make us feel a certain way. So when you're setting goals, maybe just tie in there how you're going to feel when you hit that goal. How is it going to feel when you reach Emerald? How is it going to feel when you reach Diamond? How is it going to feel when you leave that full-time job? Like, if you can get those emotions tied in there and paint a picture in your head, it's so much more motivating because we're emotional creatures. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to kind of put that little reminder tip out there that it's a fresh month. So hopefully you have your goals already set up for the month. And if you don't, here's just a little nudge to make that happen maybe today or tomorrow. And feel free to share them in our Fitless Tribe group. If you want accountability, you have to share your goals. Like that's just it. If you're relying on yourself, unfortunately, like we are okay letting ourselves down. But if other people are counting on us and other people know our goals, we're more likely to show up. So feel free to share them in our Fitless Tribe group, share them with your own coach so she can hold you accountable, anything like that. Share them on social media. If you share them everywhere, like that's more accountability, more layers of accountability. So I wanted to put that reminder out there. And then this Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have a Coach Life Revealed event. So I wanted to let you know about that so that you can invite tonight, you can invite tomorrow, you can invite Thursday up until the event. Obviously, you don't need to prep anything with them. You just invite them, share just a tidbit about it, and then add them into the group. So I'll let you know what group we're using. But as for now, just kind of make your list, start inviting people and make your list of who wants to attend. You can kind of let them know it's going to be roughly an hour, maybe an hour 15. So it's not going to take a ton of their time. If they can just set aside an hour to hang out with us, there will be prizes and they'll get to learn all about it. So I wanted to put that reminder out there, Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, and with that said, I'm going to stop talking and just hand it right over to you, Emily.
I'm really glad you said that because I told you this morning I needed to write down to make the sneak peek group and I didn't write it down. So I literally just wrote it down. So this is perfect because guys, I write everything down or I don't remember anything. So which is actually one of the things that I was going to talk about is just write everything down. But anyways, I'm excited. It's funny because I guess like I've just always been an organized person. So I didn't really think that it was like a strong thing for me. I just was like, well, I don't know. My mom's organized. I guess I just got it from her. And then maybe the teaching background probably had something to do with it too. I don't know. But anyways, so I'm excited. This is like a fun topic for me to talk about. And I do want to share that like what I'm going to talk about tonight is like things that work for me. So they may not work for you. They may not resonate with you at all, but I encourage you to like take, if something does sound like it would work for you, like give it a try. If it doesn't work for you, that's okay. Like what you really need to do is find something that does work for you. And a lot of this came from like trial and error. So like I've been a coach for like 2 years now. So like I've tried different tracking systems. I've tried different like follow-up systems. I've tried all these different ways to stay organized, and some of them worked, some of them didn't. So like really it's like trial and error, kind of just like anything else in our business. You just try something, and if it doesn't work, then you try something different. So find something that works for you, and then if it does work, just stick with it. It's like going back to that consistency with anything else. Like you just kind of have to figure out what works and then stick to it. So one thing that I have found really helpful is to keep things like separated. So like I try to separate like my life and my business, because like, yes, this is my business, this is my job, but it is not my entire life. And so like when I first started coaching, I had separate like planners, like one for like teaching / life, and then one for coaching. And then I got away from it because I got tired of taking 2 planners with me everywhere. So then I did it in one, but now that I'm home, I'm like, okay, I still want to like separate things because I work from home and this is my home, but I want to be able to like separate when I'm doing like home stuff or life things versus like when I'm doing my business. So I have notebooks for everything. Like everything has a notebook, kind of like when you're in elementary school and they make you get a folder for every subject, and you usually get a different color for every subject or whatever. I don't know. I always had blue for social studies and yellow was always math. I don't know why, but kind of like that, I have a notebook for every little thing. So for example, this notebook in front of me has my notes in it for tonight. I only use this for like team training notes, for team calls, if I listen to the National Wake Up Call, if I listen to one of Josh's trainings. Like there's literally only notes in here from that kind of stuff, and that's it. There's nothing else in here. And then I have a totally different notebook that I'll show you guys more later, but like this is for my power hour. So like when I'm doing my power hour and you guys see me writing things down, it only goes in this one. I don't have notes in here from trainings. I don't have like to-do lists in there. Like this is specific to my power hour. I have a separate notebook for like my meal planning, so that when I go to the grocery store, I just grab that one notebook and take it with me, and I have my grocery list in there. I have a separate notebook for when I do GSR calls with my new coaches that's specific to that, so I can write down notes and remember where I put it, so it's not like all over the place. So I found it helpful to like separate things, because if you just throw everything in one notebook, then you're like flipping through the notebook trying to find that one thing you were talking about. But if you just have separate spaces for everything, it's a lot more organized. It's a lot easier to kind of find the things that you're looking for. And I mean, yeah, if you're like traveling or something, it's kind of a pain because you take multiple notebooks. But I mean, unless you're like traveling every week, then maybe you have to find something else. But this is what has worked for me, is finding a separate notebook. In terms of like my planner though, so like I talked about, I had 2 different planners when I first started my business, and then I got away from that. But I also found that like, because like a planner has like a monthly section on it, and I like that, but I also like the daily things, which is another thing. Like there's millions of planners out there, so just like find a planner that works for you. I'm sure you could ask Crystal if she's tried it, because she has like 17,000 of them. So just ask her about it, and she'll be able to tell you. But speaking of planners, the desire map that she was just talking about at the beginning of this, there's a planner that goes with it, and I got it last year. Loved it. So it goes with the book. But anyways, so what I started doing this summer when I went full time was like, yeah, I have like my planner. Like this is my life. I put everything in here. When my bills are due, when I have appointments, when, anything, like everything goes in this planner when I have things scheduled. But I'll show it to you. I got a big like wall whiteboard to put on my desk right here that's just a calendar, and the only thing that's on there are like things for my business. So when we have team calls, or I have the national wake up call on there, or Josh's calls, or if I have a GSR with somebody, or the pumpkin spice shako is launching on the 17th, that's on the board. Or like when we're doing our next like fit club or whatever. So like I'll just like show it to you guys. I don't know if you can see it, but like this is just September. Like, yes, everything's color coordinated too, but like I have the national wake up call on every one, and like our emerald call, and like our push mastermind. Like that's the only thing that's on is just business related calls and things to note. And then in like the calendar section, let me show you. In like here, and my planner is like just life, like me traveling, or like when bills are due, or you know, different plans that I have with people or appointments. That's the only thing that I put in there. That way those two things are separate. And but I have like my business stuff next to my desk, and I have my life stuff in one place. And like, yeah, I write down like my goals and my daily tasks in my planner, but in terms of like the overall like picture, I like having them separated. That way that little calendar on my planner doesn't get really overwhelming, because I mean, as you saw, like one day there's like 5 things. So it just was a little bit easier. So I found it helpful to separate things. I'm really hot all of a sudden. Sorry. Okay, so that's what I do with that. So I guess since I was talking about my planner, I guess I can just kind of show you guys my planner, which I had the Desire Map planner, like I said, and then Crystal showed me this planner, and I, of course, had to have it. So this is the Start planner. And like I said, like this has everything in it, but like I write down like when my bills are due. Let me show you like a daily thing. I'll just show you like today's stuff. So every day I like, since this is a daily one, I don't know how well you guys can see this, but I have everything like scheduled. So like I'm getting up at 5:30, I have my morning ritual, and then my workout. This is supposed to be like my business hours. There's our team call, and then like my nightly things that I do. And then there's like my top 3 things. And honestly, a lot of times they're the same thing, power hour or something like that. And like my team call notes, I did that. That's why it's highlighted. And I had to listen to the actual wake up call. I did that. So it's highlighted. And then just like random things, like I forgot to make the group. So there's my other to-do list for today. Make the sneak peek group, or like make sure I recognize somebody, which is another thing. Like I write my 4 vital behaviors in my planner every day. So like my workout's one of them, my shakes I've given, like doing my invites, that's part of my power hour, that's on there. My personal development is part of my morning ritual, so that's on there. So then recognizing that's on there. So then I have it in my planner, so every single day I can look and be like, did I recognize somebody today? It's not highlighted. Okay, I need to go do that. Did I do my power hour today? It's not crossed off because I haven't finished it yet, but by the end of the day, it'll be highlighted. So like that's how I like do my daily things. Hey, Mary. So I write down every day what I have to do for my business in my planner. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a second. So that's how I like keep them separated. That's what I do in my planner. And I like to highlight things when I finish it, which is why like things are always highlighted. Like, I mean, you can use a check mark or just like cross it off, but I don't know. I like it highlighted. It makes it nice and colorful. And yes, everything has a color. So my workout is always in orange. My business tasks are always in blue. My calls are always in green. Like I have a set color for everything. Okay, so I found it super duper helpful when I was like trying to figure out, because it got really overwhelming when I was like, okay, there's so many calls I have to be on. There's so many things I have to do, like remember to do every day. I have to remember to check in this group, to that group. And then I was like forgetting things. So I just like sat down one day and did a big like brain dump. And this is actually what I'm going to ask you guys to do at the end of this, is like just sit down and write down all of the things you have to do for your business every single day. And so this is what I did. So I like took a piece of paper and I wrote out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And on it, I was like, okay, what do I need to make sure that I do every Monday? National Wake Up Call. A given. Every Monday I have to do the National Wake Up Call. I need to send out my invites. I need to send out my new friend messages. I need to check my inbox. I need to do my follow-ups. Okay, I also need to make sure I check into our wellness groups. I check into our Slay Squad tracker. I check into the tracker for the Push Mastermind, Josh's group that I'm in. So if you look every Monday, those are the things that I have to do every Monday. Tuesday, it kind of looks the same, except I don't have the national wake up call. I have our team call. Wednesday, same business tasks in terms of like, I got to do my invites. I got to send out my new friend messages. I have to check into these 3 groups, but I also have to make sure I have our Slay Squad 2.0 call on there. So I literally just did a big brain dump. Like, what do I need to do every week and what day do I need to do them on? And I just laid them out day by day. And then it was so much easier when I was like writing in my planner to be like, okay, Monday, what do I have to do Monday? Okay, I have to do my power hour, have to do my national wake up call, and maybe there's something else I need to do. Like maybe I need to prep notes for today or something like that. So that's what I'm going to encourage you guys to do, is to like do a big brain dump like this and really just lay everything out so that you know every week what you have to do. And I don't care if you post this, like I have it up here so I can see it. And then you'll just always know what you're supposed to be doing. And you can kind of like mentally check it off in your head. Like, okay, did I send out my invites? No. Did I listen to the national wake up call? No. Yes or no, whatever. So lay it out day by day. And then another thing that I found, because I would like sit down and be like so all over the place for like, this is more specific to like your power hour, but I would like sit down and be like, okay, I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this. And I would be like all over the place and doing like, okay, here's 2 invites and here's 2 follow-ups and here's 2 new friend messages. And it was just like, I was trying to do all the things at once. And we're not really the most productive when we try to do everything at once, or at least I'm not. And I think most people aren't. So again, I kind of wrote down like the things that I needed to do for my power hour every day, or like in terms of like my business hours, like what are the things that I need to do in my business hours? So, and because I'm really organized, I did this for my morning routine and my nightly routine too, but we're just going to stick to the business part. So like when I sit down to do, and I'll read this, what this says, but like I literally just wrote it out in order. When I sit down to do my business hours, these are the things I do, and this is the order I do it in so that I can make sure I get the most important things done first. Because if you watched Rachel's training with us a few weeks ago, she told us to do your invites and your follow-ups first, because that's what grows your business. That's what makes you money. Everything else can be done afterwards. So I kind of took that and then also just related it to my business. So like when I sit down for my business hours, the first thing I'm going to do is check my online office, because I need to see, okay, who of my coaches, like who do I need to go check in with, or like, the coach news and everything like that. Like that's the first thing, is go check my online office and see where I'm at. And then after that, I go check my email, and I'm going to go dive a little deeper into my email and like my follow-ups. But like, I go check my email. Is there anything urgent in there? Like, did somebody tell me, hey, I'm ready for the enrollment, so that I can send it over right away? Or did somebody answer these questions and now I just have to send them the info? Because that's important, because that's what's going to move my business forward, is them having that information or them having that share cart. So I'm going to go answer those urgent emails first, because they're ready to go. So I don't want to make them wait all day for me. So I'll do that. Now, if there's any other email that's in there in terms of like things that just random emails we get from Beachbody or something, that's not important. I'll go look at that later. That's not the most important thing in that moment. I can check that out later in the afternoon. And then after I do the important emails, I go and check my applications. Okay, who filled out my form for my Wellness Warriors Studio or project? Who filled out the Fit Bliss Tribe coach application? Like, because those people, if they filled it out, they're ready. So I want to make sure they get the information as soon as possible. So again, they're not waiting around for me, because again, that's what's going to move my business forward. So I want to check that and see who filled that out and who's ready for me to email them. And then after that, I go into my invites, because we have to send out the invites. So I send out my invites, and I normally have a list that's like kind of like a running list, and I'll talk about this a little bit, but or like if I see people checking out my stories or something, or I saw it, like I'll take people from my stories and I'll write them down if I want to invite them or something like that. Or if people are like liking my stuff or engaging on my posts or something like that, I'll write their name down. That way, when I go to do my invites, I already have a list of people. So it doesn't actually take that long unless I haven't met my number for the day. So I do my invites and then I do my follow-ups, and I'll show you how I do my follow-ups too. And then after my follow-ups is when I send out my new friend messages. After that is when I go into my inbox. And and guys, like, I'm not perfect. Sometimes these things get mixed around, or I like get excited about something else. I go do something else. But for the most part, like, this is what keeps me productive. Mary, I see you have a question. I'll look at it in just a second. But in terms of like my messages, I will kind of do like a quick scroll and look and see which ones are the most important. Because if it's just somebody responding to my "Hey girl" message, like, that's not my most important message to respond to right this second. I'm not saying it's not important, but that's not the first thing I want to get to. I want to go and look and see who responded to an invite that I sent out, who responded to a follow-up, who sent me a message, said, "Hey, I want to know more about like what you're doing." Like, those are the messages I'm going to answer first. Because again, those people are ready, or they either, even if they said no to my invite, I want to go figure out why they said no. I want to go figure out what that objection is and see if there's something I can help them with. Or they said, "Yes, I want to know more information about what you do." Then I want to make sure I direct them to the right place. So I'll do like a quick like scan and be like, okay, which ones are the most important? And then if I still have time, or, it's one of those days where I'm trying to get all the things done, or one of those days where, and I know we talked about this in our Slate 2.0, is like doing the bare minimum. Those people who responded to my "Hey girl" message, like, if I don't have time for that day, then those are going to be my priority for that day. I'll do it the next day. So all the other messages come last. So that's like the order that I do things. And I found if I just stick to that order, it keeps me productive and it makes sure that I'm doing the most important things first. Okay, Maria's question, are you creating a Google form and sending it to them in a DM? You mean for like the challenge groups and the coaching? Yeah, because I have my form, and then I was getting their email and then being like, okay, what's your email? And I'll send it to them. Then I was like, I have a form. I might as well just send them the form. So yeah, I have the form, and just ask if I can send them to, like, hey, if I sent you this Google form that has some questions on it, would you be willing to answer them for me? So I can know more about you and what it is you want to accomplish, or, how I can help. And they'll pretty much always say yes. Then I just send them the link, and then they fill it out, and then I have their email right there, plus the answers to their question. It's like one last step. So yeah, that's what I do there. Okay, so that's like the order. I kind of did one thing I forgot about with my planner. And yes, I have a separate notebook for this too. This is my planning notebook. Everything has a label. So when I'm going to sit down, and I realize I'm kind of like all over the place. So if you guys are confused or something, let me know. I'm kind of just like spewing what comes to me. I have some notes, but it's not really detailed. But like when I'm like planning out my week, I have found it really helpful to do a brain dump then too, because like a lot of times they'll be like, okay, I need to make sure I get this done, like personal this week. I need to make sure I do this. I need to make sure I do that. Oh, but I got to make sure I do this stuff for my business, or I need to make sure I follow up with this person. So I found it really helpful to do, and I know Crystal does this too, to do like a brain dump right before I get in my planner every Sunday. So I like do my weekly planning on Sunday. And this was on a training somewhere I saw. I don't remember if it was a hardcore training or if it was somewhere else, but a coach said that she did this with her team, and I was like, that is brilliant. And she literally has them. And so I'll just show you. So it's like my planning notebook, and I have 4 categories. So like there's a business, there's a personal, my team, and then it used to be work when I was teaching, but now it's like my clients, like the people that I work with. And so each one gets their own box, and then I just write out the things that I need to do. Okay, what do I need to do for my business? I need to do 5 power hours. I need to our team call, our national wake up call. I need to make sure I set up our new customer email. Like this is from a couple weeks ago. And then once I add it to my planner, I highlight it because that means it's in my planner and I'm done. So then once I have like a big brain dump of everything, then I can like add it to my planner where it needs to go. Like, I don't know, maybe I get through it and I'm like, okay, I haven't scheduled a time to call this place. Like, and then I'll just write it in my planner somewhere, but I know I need to do it. So having that brain dump, and then it'll like remind me to like make sure I pay these bills and like different things like that come up. And then of course I can add things as I go, but this way I have a big, like everything is in front of me, what I need to do this week. And I can just add it to my planner where it needs to go on the right days, or when I feel like if it's one of those things that's not important, I'm like, okay, well, what day do I not have a lot going on that I can add this to that? So that's how I do my planner. Are you guys like good, or do you have any questions? Am I confusing you? We're good? Okay, cool. I saw lots of thumbs up. Okay. All right. And like I said, I write everything down. Like there's Post-its everywhere. I write things in my planner all the time because I'll forget it. And I'm just forgetful to begin with. And it just helps her. And honestly, I have found, and I don't know if you guys are like this, but like me just writing it down, I pretty much remember to do it if I write it down. Because then it's like that, like paper to, like that sight to hand thing. I don't know what you call that, but I remember to do it then. So, okay. But since I'm always writing things down, I wanted to show you like what I do in terms of like when I'm doing my power hour. So this is my power hour notebook. Nothing else is in here. Except I made the mistake of planning for the bachelorette party on the first page, but we're going to ignore that. Everything else is just my power hour. And I'll show you guys what I do every day. So I write this down every single day. So I put the date at the top and like what day of the week it is or something like that. And then I literally write out sections. And I know some of you guys do this already, which it's super helpful. And this is from last week. So like I literally have, okay, new friends, and I write 1 through 20, and then invites 1 through 20, and then follow-ups. My follow-ups, I'll explain that different because I don't have a set number every day. But if you have a set number, like 5 or 10, you would write 5 or 10, and then you would just fill in the names. I just fill in the names as I go. And then once I actually like send that message, then they get a highlight because that means I actually did it. But this way I can actually see like how much I did. And if it's not highlighted, then it doesn't count towards my tracker when we have to go fill it in for like the Slay Squad. So for example, this was last Thursday. So I did my 20 new friends. I did my 17 follow-ups. I wrote out 20 for my invites, but I missed 2. So that's 2 that I didn't do. And I also have a couple on here that I wrote down their names because I was like having conversations with them. And I'm like, okay, I want to invite this person. And either I'm waiting for a message back or something, but they're not highlighted, so they don't get counted towards the tracker because I haven't actually invited them, but it does help me when I'm like, I need a couple extra people. Let's go back and see who's not highlighted. But that's when I'm doing my power, this is what I'm writing down the whole time. And I send out a message to a new girl. They get written down this list. And honestly, I don't do anything with this other than it just helps me keep track of my numbers because I still add all these people to Streak. So I don't use this to go back and be like, okay, who did I follow up with last week that I can follow up with this week? I have Streak for that, and I'll show you. But this way I can, like I said, I can at least keep track of my numbers, and it helps me see, like, on those days where I didn't get a whole lot done, or I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm behind on invites this week. Like, let's go back and look and be like, oh, that's because I didn't actually do all 20 on these days or whatever it is. So that's what I do for that. I think. Okay, so I guess I can show you guys how I do my follow-ups. So I'll screen share with you, and I'm actually going to, let me see. Let's go here. Oh, that's not the right screen, but can you guys see that at least? Okay, well, Crystal wanted me to show you guys this. Because this is my Safari. These are my bookmarks. Everything has its own place there. Like all the things I use on a daily basis are like right here. So it's like all that stuff. And these are all like Beachbody things or coaching and then like bills and then like my trackers. But for some reason, Safari is not working for my Streak. So I haven't been able to actually use this right now. So we got to go to Chrome. So, and I don't have all my bookmarks up here. So Crystal's face. So anyways, okay, so when I do my follow-up, so when I send an invite out to somebody, I put that in my Streak and I automatically schedule a follow-up. So let's just like go look at, I'm not going to do like a Streak training or anything, but like let's go look. Okay, so here's like my Streak. Here's how I have it set up for people for our wellness studios. Like these are my people, like my new friends. These are people that I've reached out to and they've responded. If they don't respond, I don't add them to this in terms of like my new friends because clearly they don't want to talk to me or, you know, whatever. Like I'm not going to engage with somebody who's not going to talk to me back. So like that's my new friend, which helps me when I'm short on invites. I can be like, oh, I haven't invited. All 67 of these people have not been invited to anything yet. So I can go invite them. But Anyway, so let's go and just like say,
hey, Emily.
Yeah.
We can only see like Zoom, the Zoom thing. Is it behind it or?
Hang on.
Okay.
How about now?
Hold on, it's slow.
On.
Oh, well, now it's us.
Let me try it again.
Okay.
Go to a different screen.
Okay.
Now can you see it?
Okay, yeah, we can see it now.
Oh my gosh, so I'm like talking, you guys can't even see anything. My bad.
I thought it was lagging, so I was like, oh, maybe it'll pop up.
No. Okay, so like I said, I won't go into a streak like training, but like in terms of like this is what mine looks like for just like the wellness studios. So like my friends here, these are all people, like I said, that I've reached out to and they've sent a message back. If they don't send me a message back, I'm not going to add them to this. So like even though I might have reached out to 20 people, I might have only gotten 10 messages back, which is why I don't add all of them into streak. But at least I can see how many friends I attempted to make that day. So let's just say, okay, so this girl, let's just say I send her an invite. I send her the invite on the message, so I'm going to change it, and I change the pipeline to invite. I'm going to automatically schedule a follow-up from 2 days from now. And I can't. So let's see, that's the 6th. And I always just have them come through at 8 a.m., but it doesn't matter what time. And the reason I do that is so that if they don't respond or they read it and just ignore me, or they do respond but I don't get back to my messages that day for some reason, I don't forget about her. So that way I can, if she didn't respond, I can send her a follow-up message and be like, hey, I don't know if you saw this message, but like I just wanted to reach out and see if you were interested, kind of thing. And then if she does respond and I get back to it, I just adjust the date for when I want to follow up with her next. So let's say 2 days from now, I followed up with her and she, say it's Thursday now, I followed up with her because she didn't respond. I have found like doing 2 days and then waiting like a couple weeks or a month works for me. Some people say 2 weeks or 2 days, a week, and then a month. But I just found like 2 days and then waiting like another month to follow up with them on about this at least. So then if it's Thursday and I see she didn't respond to me, I'm going to go send her another follow-up. And on Thursday, I'm going to automatically schedule another follow-up for like a month later. That way on the 6th of next month, I don't have to wonder who I'm going to follow up with because it's already scheduled. So, and I do this for all of my invites. I do this for all of my follow-ups. If I send somebody a video about coaching or something like that, and I tell them to watch it, I automatically schedule a follow-up for 2 days later. That way I don't forget about them. So that's why I like the number of follow-ups I do every day changes, because it just depends on what comes to my email. So if you look, and I had 36 emails this morning from Streak for follow-ups. And this is what I have left. So like, just for example, so like, here's one. I can go to it and see, okay, I did for coaching. I've already done a 2-day follow-up with her. So, and I already scheduled this because I did it already, but I wanted to show you guys. So I sent her another message and then I automatically scheduled another follow-up with her. So whether or not she responds in that time doesn't matter. If I see it, I'll obviously respond. But this way, if she doesn't respond, I don't forget about her and I can keep following up with her. So then today I was able to get out, and then once I do it, I just delete it when I'm done. That's why they're not all on there. So that's pretty much how I do like my follow-ups, and I just schedule everybody every time I send out an invite or every time I send out a follow-up. I automatically schedule another follow-up to come through on my email on that day. And just like depending on like what's going on, like for example, next week is the wedding that I'm in. So I have everything scheduled for 3 days when I'm going to be working my business, and nothing on the last 4 days of the week because I know that I'm not going to do anything those days. And I try not to schedule anything on Sundays because I don't want to work on Sundays. So this way I can at least see every day. I already know who I'm going to follow up with. I don't have to like guess. I don't have to write down, follow up with this person in 2 days. Like it's in my streak. It's already there. Let me see. I want to try to see if you guys, I can't see any names that. How do you add them if you don't get there? How do you add them to streak? So you don't have to have their email to add them to streak. So like, let's just say, let's go here And let's just say I am talking to somebody and that person's name is Crystal. So I add her name. This is the date that I talked to her. And then I can go here and I can add any info. She lives in Indiana. She's into wellness too, or something like that. And then if I do get their email, I can add it right here, but I don't need their email to put them in Streak. This is just a way for me to keep track of my people that I'm talking to or people that I'm friends with and where they're at in terms of like my pipelines. And then like if I get their email, I can go right from here and send them the email since I have it there, but you don't need it to add them in there. That was a good question, Christy. I'm looking at your guys' questions to see if there's anything else. So, okay. Before I stop sharing my screen, do you guys have any questions specifically about like the follow-ups or Streak or anything?
I do.
Yes.
Why does your Streak look like that on the side? Mine doesn't look like that.
Over here?
Yeah.
I have no idea. It came like that.
It's so organized. Mine doesn't look like that.
Well, I mean, I have different pipelines for different topics. So like.
Oh yeah, I have one pipeline. Okay, is that why?
Yeah. So you can put it all in one because you guys can figure out like what you want to do for your pipelines. Like I don't even really use this 2 week or the follow up to like the 1 week. It's pretty much 2 days or 1 month, but whatever you use. But like I have specific pipelines. Like here's a coaching one. There's a 2B mindset one. There was one for Lyft when we were just doing Lyft. These are the people that I'm already working with. These are my personally sponsored coaches. These are people that I'm talking to in my wellness studio. And like, for example, like if you notice in my wellness studio, I have a new friend category. In coaching or anything else, I don't. I just automatically put it under here. And then say I go and I send them an invite, I can change it from here to which pipeline I want to put it into. I just found this out.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask, of like putting them in a different pipeline, and if you lose any info, because didn't that alert just say it needs to have the exact same boxes? Not that it would matter if there was a box that you don't even use.
I don't think so. I mean, that was just like a random.
Oh, maybe it was when I was deleting my other pipeline. It was saying like I couldn't switch them. Like I might lose info if I tried to add them to a pipeline that didn't have the same columns because they wouldn't be identical. Like I would lose some of their info, but it's fine.
That could be. I've noticed because I thought about that too. I was like, is it going to delete anything? But like this one obviously is just like an example one, but it doesn't delete anything. Like because I didn't save it. So if I just put this in here and then switched it to like my coaches, you're moving it. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The info's still in there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you can change it based on like where they're at in your category. So I just found it helpful to put like the new friends all under one and then I can switch it. And then obviously I would change the stage depending on where they're at. I'll have to go and find Crystal's name later. But yeah, so does anybody else have any questions about this before I like stop sharing my screen? I can show you guys. I think we're good. I don't see anything in the chat. So how do I unshare? Stop share. There we go. Okay. I mean, and that for the most part is like, okay, so I guess just like going back to like follow-ups and like how I do my follow-ups. So say I send somebody an invite for the first time. Like I said, I'm going to automatically schedule a follow-up for 2 days out. If they don't respond that way, I can go follow up with them again. If they do respond, I just adjust the follow-up date, the scheduled date as needed. Because even if they do say like automatically, yeah, I'm interested, tell me more, then I need to make sure that I add them to the right place and schedule a follow-up for that. So yeah, what comes through in my email that day. So all of my follow-ups come in at like 8 a.m. And I mean, I don't get to them right then. I'm usually working out, but they all come through that way. When I sit down, they're just all in there and I can just go through them as needed. If I follow up with somebody, like I said, I automatically schedule another follow-up. Now that depends on where we're at in the conversation. Like say they read my first message and they didn't, but they just forgot to respond, but they were interested. Then I would only schedule a follow-up for maybe 2 more days out or something like that because they're interested, They just forgot to respond to my last message, which is why follow-ups are magic, because sometimes we get busy and just forget to respond. But if they just didn't respond or something like that, I'm just going to schedule it for like a month out or something like that. But I'm not going to delete them or forget about them. I don't want to forget about them, because even if they didn't respond, maybe now's not the right time and they just don't know how to tell me that. So a month from now, maybe they will be ready. If they tell me no, like right off the bat, so if I invite them, I've scheduled a follow-up for 2 days out, I go see that they responded to my invite and they say, no, I'm not interested. I'm still going to work through that and like talk to them about it. But I'm automatically going to schedule a follow-up for a month out. That way next month, whether they tell me to follow up with them next month or not, I'm still going to follow up with them. And I'm going to keep following up until they tell me not to follow up with them anymore, or they don't want to talk to me. Or they block me. Because I found people that I'm like, I can't find this person's Instagram anymore. I don't know where they're at. So then I would delete them from my streak, because they clearly don't exist anymore. But that's kind of how I like schedule my follow-ups. If I put them in like our coach info group, or I send them info about like coaching, I'll automatically schedule a follow-up for 2 days. Are you scheduling it as a reminder or sending an actual message? In my streak, Mary, I'm just scheduling it as a reminder for myself. So like when I schedule it in streak, it's just a reminder for me to follow up with them or to check in with their message or something like that. But I actually go through and send the message to them myself. But streak's just there as like a reminder. Hopefully that made sense. Cool. Yeah, it's 2 days out is pretty much how I schedule everything at first, especially even if like for follow-ups, if they, fill out questions and like they're interested and they answer the questions. So I send the info for the group. I automatically schedule a follow-up from 2 days from then. Maybe they respond right away. That's great. But if they didn't, then I don't lose them and forget about them. And in 2 days, I can just make sure I go follow up with them and see where they were at. Does that make sense? I feel like I just talked a lot of things. Did I confuse anybody? Cool. Does anybody have any questions? Or anything that I didn't go over that maybe you want to know more about, or about like specific things in your business that you aren't organized with, that you want help with?
Yeah, is it Q&A time?
Yeah.
Or do you have more? Okay.
No, that pretty much was it. So unless somebody has something specific they want me to address, that was kind of it.
Yeah, if anyone has questions, feel free to unmute, or if you want to put it in the chat, that's fine too. But yeah, that was super helpful and very like straightforward, and we got to see what you do. So that was really helpful for all of us visual learners.
Yeah.
Which is totally me.
I'm the same way. It's fine.
I put this in the chat, but I like the wall calendar idea because it's like a reminder, because it's kind of in your face more than a planner. But also for visual people like me, like I think that looks nice just being on the wall there.
Yeah. Yeah. Is that, I think that's Anne. How far in advance are you planning your social media posts, and do you track those separately? So because I'm in Josh's group, he has a very specific like post schedule, which I know we've gone over before, but I can review it if we need to. And I know Crystal posted it in our Flipless Tribe group too. But like, because we have a very specific schedule, like I already know on Mondays, I'm going to do a product post and a lifestyle post. And I write these in my planner. So, and I don't think I really did it this week. I don't know why. I normally do, probably because I planned on a day when I was being lazy, so I wasn't doing all the things. But I'll go look at like,
yeah, Monday's product, Tuesday's business.
Yeah, and then Wednesday's like a free. So like let's look at like last week or something. So if I write it in my planner, again, it has its own color every day, or on this is a Tuesday, so I have to do a coach breadcrumb and I have to do an engagement post. So if I have like a specific idea for a coach breadcrumb, I'll write that down next to it. Like say I want to talk about like how it doesn't take much time or something like that, or how it helps me stay accountable. Like if I have a specific topic in mind already that I know I want to talk about, I'll write that down with it. But if I don't have anything like in mind right away, I at least know that I have to do a coach breadcrumb that day and I have to do an engagement post. And like I had to do a live last week. Like I knew last week I was going to do my live on like my turkey burgers. So I wrote that next to it. So I knew in advance what I was going to do. So if scheduling your posts is helpful, like writing them out like that, if you want to like make sure like, okay, this Tuesday I'm going to talk about how coaching doesn't take much time. And on Thursday during my breadcrumb, I want to talk about how, you know, it gives me time or financial freedom or time freedom or something because that's our payday or whatever. Like if you have something in mind, like write it down. That way you don't forget about it. And even better if you can like actually type out that post in the notes section of your phone and just have it ready. That way all you have to do is copy and paste and maybe take a photo if you don't already have one. But yeah, writing them down. And then, like I said, they get a highlight when I do them. And then I also have to log them into Josh's group too. I have to mark, yes, I did that activity. So that's how I get to kind of keep track of that too. So hopefully.
Yeah, I think having some of that guidance is helpful. It also holds you accountable. I think we're all pretty good at talking about like health, fitness, wellness things, but it holds you accountable to talking about the business too. Whereas like every other day you have to do a business breadcrumb. So I think it has accountability in there, but I also find it helpful to just have like direction instead of being like, what the heck am I going to post today? You're like, oh, today's Tuesday. It's a business breadcrumb.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you're not posting like the same things all the time too. Like, you know, we all love to post like selfies after our workouts and stuff like that, but like you don't need one every single day.
Yeah.
But we need those, but they need to be sprinkled in along with everything else. So at least if you have like a set plan of like what you're doing every week, then you kind of know ahead of time. And then when you have an idea for something, you can just like, okay, so on Tuesday, I'm going to talk about that. Or maybe somebody gives you an objection and you're like, nope, on Tuesday, I'm going to go talk about that objection and make a post off of it.
Yeah.
Cool. That's a good question. Anything else? I like questions.
Of course you do. You're a teacher.
And there are no stupid questions.
No. I'm trying to think if there was any like that we had chatted about before or anyone mentioned. Okay, well, everyone's going to do the brain dump.
Yeah. So that's the task for today is like brain dump everything you need to do for your business like every week. And then figure out what day you're going to do it or need to do it or write it in your planner or like I said, find something that works for you, but do a brain dump. That way you know what it is you have to do.
Yeah. And I mean, the beauty of what we do as coaches is like, it's customizable to your life. So like Emily does 5 power hours a week. Maybe you want to do shorter power hours and do them 6 days a week, or maybe you want to do bigger ones, bigger numbers, and just do it 4 days a week, like whatever works for you. And then have like one follow-up day. Like that's the beauty of what we do. You can kind of customize it and fit it into wherever it works for your lifestyle. Same idea where like sometimes coaches will be like, I don't have an hour, like a block of hour together to sit down. It doesn't have to be an hour altogether. Like you can do 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes at lunch, maybe half an hour at night, you know, like it's get it done, make it work for you. You know, that's what's amazing about what we do. It's a virtual business. You can do it anywhere, anytime. So, I mean, I sat on a plane yesterday and made money. Like I sent out share cards and I made money. Like that, how cool is that? Like I was literally in the sky, like mind blown. I was like, this is just so cool. I was like telling the girls I was chatting with, I'm like, I'm in the sky right now. They're like, oh, okay. I'm like, no, you don't get it. How cool is this? They're like,
literally in the sky talking to you and making money.
Yeah.
And even things like, okay, so like the national wake up call is something everybody should be doing, but obviously it's not at an ideal time for everybody. So, but knowing that you have to listen to it, like making whatever day. So like today I wrote it for Tuesday, even though I did get it done yesterday, but sometimes I don't get it done right away on Monday. So I automatically like, no, Tuesday is the day that if I didn't get to it Monday, like while I was doing something else, because I usually listen to it like while I'm cooking or doing something or getting ready, then I'll make sure to get my national wake up call in. But like, it's one of those things that you have to do and you should be doing. So make sure you have it in your planner or in your business plan so you know to get it done every week.
Yeah.
And just pick a day that works for you.
Yeah, when I was working full time, I just pretended in my head that Tuesdays were National Wake Up Call Day because that's when I could get it done. Like I was working on Mondays when it was going live. So on Tuesdays I was like, all right, this is what I do on my lunch break. Listen to the recording. So
yeah. And I did the same thing when I was teaching. Like I knew Tuesday was National Wake Up Call Day. I was going to listen to it while I was on my lunch.
Yeah. Building empires on lunch breaks.
Not writing lesson plans.
I didn't have anything to do, but although I probably should have been like prepping for the next patient or something.
That's fine. So cool.
All right, ladies. Well, any final questions? If not, we can get this party started. You guys can do your brain dump. Feel free to share it in our Fitness Tribe if you want like accountability. You want to show us you did it. I find it helpful, honestly, every few months to do a brain dump of like what it is I do daily. Like just for the clarity, just to do it again. Like there's something, I don't know if it's in our minds, but there's something so powerful of just putting pen to paper. And so every few months I try to do a brain dump of like, okay, what do I have to do daily? And things change, you know, like where I was earlier this year isn't really the same as where I am now. You know, we moved, we used to live in an apartment, we live in a house now. There's different to-dos, you know? So every 3 months, like just kind of do a brain dump of what it is you have to do daily with your personal life and your business. I just think it creates clarity and it kind of just, I mean, Emily said she puts her brain dump on the wall, right? Or on your desk.
Yeah, it's right in front of me.
So yeah, I think it's helpful to see it, but I also think sometimes it creates even more clarity when you rewrite it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's really helpful for those like weeks where you know you have a lot going on. Like I knew this week I had a lot of last minute things to do before I leave for my trip next week. And I also knew that I was like trying to get ahead so that I wouldn't be behind when I got back. So like in my head, there were like 10 million things that I felt like I needed to do. But then once I wrote it down and did my brain dump, I was like, oh, that's really not, that doesn't really seem that bad. Okay. And I just added everything in my planner and getting things done in advance because it's not quite as much as I thought that it was going to be. But I feel like when it's in our, like when we feel like we have 10,000 things in our head that we need to do, it's really overwhelming and we don't know where to start. So just writing it all down, that way you already know what you have to do and starting on the most important things.
And then, it's amazing because then it gets so simple and you're just like, task 1, go make new girlfriends. Task 2, invite. Like it just becomes so simple that like in our heads we just make things more complicated than they really are.
And if you like to check things off though, then maybe you write it on your whiteboard every day or something, like the 5 things you need to do for your business, and then as you do them, you cross them off. Like if that's something you like to do, then do it that way. Or this is teacher brain. You can get one of those laminated things, stick a piece of paper in it and a dry erase marker and cross it off. That way you can just erase it.
I was just going to comment that that's what I do in my notebook is I make check boxes.
Yeah.
They're sort of like my to-do, but it's my daily to-do.
Yeah. And then it's already on there. And then you don't even have to think about it. Super easy.
Surprisingly, Miss Unorganized might actually have an organized tip for you right now. So speaking of like your whiteboard calendar, I don't actually have a calendar, but I totally want one if Cameron will let me put more things on the wall. But over here, I don't even know if my computer is going to turn this much. Okay, so Success Club and new coaches. I have this like tally thing. Oops. And it's just always in my face. So it's like if I haven't marked up all those ticks for Success Club 20, but it's going to be 30 this month. I know I've got work to do. Or if I haven't filled my numbers for 10 new coaches for the month, like if I haven't filled those, like I have work to do. And it's just always in my face, which always reminds me staying focused. Like I'm in Josh's leadership group right now. And it's like, he's like, what's the one thing that like he had us name our strengths first because any good life coach lifts you up first. And then it's like, what do you need to work on? After you lift yourself up, he's like, okay, now what do we need to really work on? And I'm like, for me, it's like daily focus. So having little things like that, just where I'm reminded of like my goals, my long-term goals, like my monthly goals are in my face all the time. Just thought I'd share that. Whiteboards are life.
Yeah, no, that is a good tip though, because like throwing pens, because like you said, then your goals are in your face and you can see how well you're doing. Like if you set Success Club 20 as a goal, but you're at Success Club 2 and it's the 20th of the month, well, then you got some work to do.
Yeah.
you know, it's not time to give up, but it's time to look at like, okay, what have I been doing this month? What do I need to do the last 10 days of the month or whatever to make sure that I reach my goals?
Yeah. But now since everyone's going to be tracking their days and stuff, everyone is going to be hitting super high numbers and is going to just have their shit together. Speaking of having your shit together, there's a book called Get Your Shit Together. I think that's what it's called. Is that what it's called?
I think so.
It's by the lady Sarah Knight. Her name is Sarah Knight, if anyone wants to check it out. It's a good book, and yeah, that's it. Yeah. Her books are really good. She has also written The Life-Changing Magic of Not Giving an F. Yeah, and that one's really good. That one's one of my favorite books. And they're smaller books. They're not like Tony Robbins books or anything.
No. But they're good for like doing reminding you to do the important tasks first. Like stop worrying about all the other things you have to do and like what do you need to do right now? Like what's most important kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which goes back to kind of like what I was saying and like do the things that are going to move your business forward first. And just another thing that I want to note, just because like this came up earlier when we were on our Zoom earlier, like it's one thing to have everything all planned out and look all nice and all this stuff, but it's another thing to actually like execute it. Yeah. So like I love organizing and planning and things like that, but you have to actually like put in the work to make it useful too. So like it's nice to have a plan, but if you're not actually doing it, then you don't really have a plan. You know what I mean? But I do think it is important to like sit down and like think about, okay, what is my follow-up like system? What is my invite system? What is my power hour system? Like, I think it's important to sit down and like figure out your systems. That way, you know, going into it, what you need to do, and you don't have to like really worry about it and you're not all over the place, but just know that you can come up with that system, but you have to actually put it into work too. A goal without a plan is just a wish. Exactly.
The other cool thing is if you make like your to-do list the night before, your brain actually works through the night, like organizing how it's going to get done. So honestly, guys, I'm not crazy. I will notice on the days where like I have a full plan for the next day that I wake up and just kind of do things. Like I just get them done without even thinking. Whereas if I have a day where I don't have a plan, which sometimes happens on the weekends, I'm all over the place. I'm just like so scatterbrained. I'm like not being productive, like whatever, which is fine on, you know, on a weekend day. But I just totally noticed that. And I swear I'm not crazy. Like you can test it out yourself, like get your to-do list done at night. And like, you'll find that over time, when you have that structured system, you know what you're doing. Like you just start to get things done without even thinking because they become a habit. Like, and that's what your brain is constantly trying to do. It's trying to make habits. So maybe if you're a brand new coach, that first power hour, you kind of feel like, oh, what am I doing? I don't know. But if you stick it out, like it's going to be a habit. And then before you know it, you're just like busting out power hours, busting out invites and building your business.
Yeah. Yeah. And like the reason why I write things down is because like if it's just going on in my head, then I try to do like 5 things at once and I'm not productive. Like I'll be sitting there folding laundry and thinking about the fact that I need to do the dishes or I need to go answer this person's message. Like, you know, I'm not really focusing on what I'm actually doing and I'm focusing on all the other things I have to do. But if I write it down, okay, what do I need to do first? What's going to come second? It's kind of like you're making a plan, like Crystal said, in your head of what's going to come first, what's going to go next, what's the most important thing or something like that. And I also found it helpful. This was something that I was going to mention and I forgot. Like I found it helpful to certain business tasks, like checking into our groups and like checking notifications. Like I have found just putting all of that off until the end of the day. Because yes, I want to be present in like our challenge groups and stuff like that, but I can do that at the end of the day. So like I don't get in there at all during the day because we always get notifications for that all day long. And same with like Facebook, like you're getting notifications all day long. It's never ending. So if you keep like trying to keep up with it, which is like, I don't like that little red dot and I've had to learn to just accept the little red dot even on my phone. Like I don't need to answer those 3 emails right now. They'll be okay. You know, like I found it helpful to like make those like an end of the day when I'm done with everything task. Like then I can go spend 20-30 minutes in my group actually like being present with and reading through things and actually like engaging in things versus like before I'm just going through like and I feel like I'm not actually engaging with them. And same with like our groups and stuff like that, like on Facebook. So setting aside a specific time for that stuff so that you're not doing it all day.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like with my days, I tend to like think of it in blocks, and like I tend to pair things together that kind of make sense together. So like in my planner, like there will be, well, during my Energize, you guys know that I always like try to be super productive during my 20 minutes of my Energize. Like I'm either checking into our Slay Squads, or I'm sending out invites, or I'm doing my stories. Like I'm always making this productive. And then obviously I roll into my workout, and then you'll like in my planner, I have written down like, okay, while I sip on my recover, I'm going to post my workout stories, and I'm going to check into my challenge group. But then like Emily said, like later on in the evening is when I do the bulk of checking into groups to actually like respond to people, because that's when I've got the time. Like my power hour is done, so I can give my current clients in my challenge group my full attention, because I'm not worried about sending out invites. I'm not worrying about building my business. I'm worrying about the people who already invested in me, and then they've got my full attention. I can just see if anyone has any questions, or just show them some love, celebrate them on getting their workouts in, whatever. So like I tend to think about my days in blocks. Like I have my morning block where it's like for me, and then I'll have like lunch, and then I'll have like my power hour block, and then unplug a little bit, do dinner, hang out with Cameron, and then I'll have like a quick 20-30 minute check in my groups. Like easy peasy.
Yeah, I do the same thing. And I do this with like text messages and like messages from like coaches and people that I'm working with too, like having a specific time to really be present with that too. Like usually unless it's like an emergency, or I know I'm having a conversation with somebody that needs to like happen in that moment, but like a lot of the times, so you guys might notice I might text you in the morning, and then you may not hear from me until the end of the day, because the middle of the day is like my business hours. And obviously like anybody knows, like if you really need me, like just keep bugging me, I'll get back to you. But like unless it's an emergency, I'm not going to get back to you right that second, just because I know that I also have to focus on my business. And like same with you guys too, like you have to have that designated time to focus on you and your business too, because text messages and phone calls are always going to come in. I don't answer phone calls in the middle of the day, because that's me working. And if I was at another job, I wouldn't be able to answer the phone all day. Now, unless, my mom's calling me at 12 in the afternoon, she never calls me in the afternoon, then I might answer, because that's not usually a good sign or something like that. You know what I mean? Like there are exceptions, but for the most part, like I know any phone call that comes through, they'll leave me a voicemail if they really need to talk to me, or any text message that comes through that's an emergency, they'll send me another one or something like that. Otherwise, I'll wait till I'm done with my tasks for the day, so I can really be present with that message and that phone call.
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of just piggybacking on what you just said, I feel like that was just kind of a life tip. Like in the world that we live in, where it can kind of feel like people are constantly coming at you, take some ownership with your inboxes and your text messages. Like I think sometimes people, and I watch it all the time, like, okay, my parents might not have anything else to do, but like when I was with them, like in Maine, I mean, they're retired. Sure, they can just get back to people when people text them, but it's like the ding goes off, and it's like they're right to their phones, and like that's not how I am with my text messages. And it's probably because of my business, but I feel like it just kind of allows you to feel like there's space, like that people don't own your time, you own your time. And like, unless it's really an emergency, like obviously if there's a family emergency or something's going on, understandable, like get back to people right away. But how often does that happen? Like you don't have to let people crowd in on your time, like own your time. And when you're respectful of your time, like they learn to be respectful of it. Like you teach people how to treat you. So like if you do want to feel like you're on call 24/7 and like people can just get back to you whenever, they'll think that if you get back to them right away, they'll think that that's okay. And that, they can call you whenever, they can text you whenever. So that was kind of like a life tip / I guess someone didn't like my tip. Just kidding. / like business tip. Like you're teaching people how to treat you. Like when you're signing coaches and you're building your team, like if you're okay, like you make the rules. If you're okay with your coaches like wanting to reach out with you 24/7 and expect a response right away, you can do that. But otherwise, if you don't want that and you want a little bit of space, you can kind of let them know, like I have a 24-hour rule or a 48-hour rule. Like I'll get back to them, but I'm not attached to my phone. Like it doesn't rule me. I rule it. I decide when I want to get back to people.
Yeah. Yeah. And this makes me think like, in the beginning when I talked about separating my business and life, because we do have a virtual business. So we are on our phones and our computers a lot. So it's really easy to like keep getting sucked into it, but it's finding that space between like when you're working and when you're actually living your life and being like with people. And like, I had the hardest time. Like, I remember when I first started coaching, I was trying to answer messages like while I was teaching. That's not productive. I'm not there for my students, and I'm not there for the people I'm talking to either. But I was like, this message is coming in. I have to respond to them right now. Like, no, I don't. It's still going to be there. So it's like learning to accept that little red dot, like Kasha said, like, it's okay. Like, they'll wait. They really need you to get back to you. So like, just know that it's okay if you can't get back to them right that second. Like, it's okay for them to sit. Like, it's okay to be the CEO and have designated time for these things.
Mm-hmm.
Do you schedule follow-ups with girls who don't respond? Yeah, I do. So if I send them an invite, like I said, I automatically schedule that follow-up so that if they didn't respond, I can follow up with them again. But if, say, I did follow up with them and they still didn't respond, I'm still going to follow up with them. I'll schedule it for like a month out or something like that, just to either check in with them, or if I still see them like watching my stuff and be like, hey, I don't know if you saw this, but I see you watching me. Like, do you want to do this? So yeah, even if they don't respond, I still schedule a follow-up. What is a NGF? Non-girl? What? I don't know what that is. I see that all the time, and I don't know what that is.
Girlfriend.
New girlfriend. Oh. I was like, what? I don't know what that is. New girl. I was like, nobody's saying anything. New girlfriend. Well, if it's somebody that like, so like I said, I'll write down the person I reached out to that day, but if they don't respond to my first message, I don't add them to my streak. And I don't usually send out cold invites. So, I wouldn't really have any reason to schedule a follow-up, but yeah, for people who are new, I just add them to my streak. And then when it's time to invite them, I switch them to the invite pipeline. Hopefully that made sense.
Yes.
I answered that. Okay. Yeah, cool.
All right, girls. Well, get your brain dumps done. Thank you so much, Emily. This was super helpful and like a very actionable training where like I think we all feel like we've got our heads together.
Yeah. Wait. Can we take a boom really quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sitting in the dark, but hold on.
Okay. There's a dog in the picture too, so oh, the dog went away.
Okay, I am now out of the dungeon.
Are you ready?
Are we doing just a photo or boom? Do I have to
I'm doing a boom.
You're doing a boom?
Do whatever you want. Or everybody just wave their head.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. Okay.
I never know where to look. I'm like,
Wait, are people still doing
which
it?
one do I look at? All right, now I'm having like a hot flash, so I'm gonna go. Thank you, ladies, for being here. I'll post this recording tomorrow if anyone wants to revisit it, and obviously you can tell your coaches and all that. We'll get everyone watching this. Thank you again, Emily. This was awesome. Thank you all for being here. I love you. Good night.
Bye.